恭敬大德圣听，为此法会济一切众生。经算妙法论，教导我们如何了生脱死，离苦得乐，殊人无生。The English one? Will the
Yes, please.
Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss, and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo sadanto sucheto ye alahati sanmyao sanputo che. 无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in a billion eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Now let's recite Medicine Master Buddha's name 7 times. Namo, quelling disasters, lengthening life, Medicine Master Buddha. 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 Medicine Master does come one. 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 Hello everyone, welcome back after such a long break. Let me get today's slides up. I'm really happy to see all of you online. I know with the time change, it's not easy to get onto class at this time, but I'm really glad all of you could. I'm looking for my auntie's name. My auntie said she wasn't able to join before because there was a conflict in some other class, but she can't use that excuse anymore. But I still don't see her online. I'll call her tomorrow. Okay, so today we will continue with our investigation of the Dharma using the Sutra of the Medicine Master Buddha as our foundation. But before we begin, does anyone have any questions that you would like to ask? You know, it's been so long, at least 2 months since our last class. Wouldn't anyone have any
Dharma
questions?
Master, I have a question.
Yes, Saha.
I just I don't know if it's related to this class or not, but if you don't mind telling us how about your past experiences, what you did before you became a monk and why you became a monk, respectfully.
Oh, okay. All right. I think you have asked that before. It's not very interesting, but let's see how much time we have for today. Anyone else on? Okay, let me put it this way. You can just unmute your microphone. That will make me very happy. Don't feel like you're interrupting. Or you can just type into the chat box. All right. And for today, what you're going to do is we're going to do a summary of what we've been, the last few classes that we've been looking at, which is existence in the desire realm. The desire realm is the hells all the way up to the 6 desire heavens. All right. So that constitutes that you have the hell realm, and then you have the hungry ghost realm, you have the animal realm. And the animal realm is very diverse. It's not just animals as we know it, but like dragons and kinraras and garudas and all those magical, mythical. People would use the word mythical, but in Buddhist cosmology, they're not mythical at all. They're real. All the way up to humans, and then from humans to the 6 desire heavens and the various gods that are born in the heavens. So today we're going to look at the food of some of the beings in the 6 desire realm, the lifespan, the heights of their bodies, what they do for a living, their livelihood, marriage in the desire realm, desire. After marriage, you get desire, or because of desire, you get marriage, either one. And then you have birth and death. And then finally, we explore what it is like being born in the heavens. Okay, so that's for today. And if we have time, we will look at the Buddha speaking about spirits and how all of us each have a guardian spirit. And then we'll try to slot in Saha's question somewhere in there as well. All right, everyone ready? Okay, so let's talk about food first, because that's how people survive. So this is from a sutra called the Sutra on the Subject of Cosmology. It's a sutra in the Mahayana canon. It's the version that I have is under a Japanese translation arm called DBET. So this information is from there. So it says all living beings, apparently this is the Buddha speaking the sutra. So the Buddha is explaining, it says all living beings subsist on 4 kinds of food. What kind of food? First, regular food served by hand and with utensils with proper hygiene through washing, bathing, and wearing clean clothing. So we fall in that category, all right? Number 2 is food created by contact. Number 3, food created by recollection. And number 4, food created by consciousness. 3 and 4 has to do more with the mind. It's not physical type of food as we know it. Number 2, food created by contact. I'm not sure if that involves eating, because in this sutra, there's not much that's explained by the Buddha. I couldn't find a commentary. But basically, there's these 4 categories. And the Buddha said that because sentient beings differ, then the food which they eat is also different. So the food that sentient beings eat is in accordance with the type of sentient being that they are, their form of existence. So for humans, okay, we have 4 kinds of humans in Buddhist cosmology. Everyone that we know is from Jambudvipa. We are on the continent of Jambudvipa. But there are another 3 continents called Apara Godaniya, Purva Videha, and Uttara Kuru. Okay, so there are 4 different kinds of humans. They are all different in terms of characteristics because we are all born through different karmic results. Okay, so what happens is humans like us, Then the ones in the other two continents, we eat rice. All of us eat rice. They have wheat, just like us, noodles, fish, meat, and we all wash, bathe, we take baths, and we wear clean clothing to maintain hygiene and our physical comfort. But then the people in Uttara Kuru, who are a bit special, if you remember from past classes, people from Uttara Kuru, they are the only ones of the entire desire realm. Okay, the whole desire realm, they're the only ones that have a fixed lifespan. When they're born, they die exactly 1,000 years later. Maybe give or take a few days, I'm not sure. But everyone else, we have an average lifespan, but it's not fixed because we have different karmic conditions, but not the special people of Uttara Kuru. And what else? They only eat non-glutinous rice that has been naturally harvested, which has a heavenly flavor. They eat this kind of rice to sustain the health of their bodies, and they also wash, bathe, and wear clean clothing for physical comfort. So that's different from other humans everywhere else. Okay, people of Uttara Kuru. And then Nagas or dragons and Garudas. Garudas are giant birds. What else? What is another name for Garuda? Not phoenix, but I know there's another name for Garuda. So what they eat are gigantic. Pengbird, yes, thank you. Thank you, Sui Ling. Yeah, pengbird. But in English, there's also another name. So Garuda is also the emblem of the Indonesia's airline. So anyway, they eat gigantic turtles, alligators, and fish. And they also wash, bathe, and wear clean clothing. I know in the sutras, Nagas have spiritual abilities. So they look like the long dragons that are depicted in Chinese paintings, but they can also take on human form. And Garudas and Nagas are natural, excuse me, they are natural enemies. Why? Because Nagas are also used to be one source of food for Garudas. Garudas, they have such a big wingspan that when they flap their wings, they can push all the water away from the oceans, and that reveals the dragons that live in the oceans. And Shufu said that this giant bird would just gobble up the dragons like how you eat noodles. Then the dragons went to the Buddha for help. Then the Buddha convinced the Garudas to stop eating dragons, and which is why if you go to a monastery, every time in meal offering at 10:30, you will see the monks or the nuns offer food, and some of that food is meant for the Garudas, so they don't have to eat dragons anymore. Okay, Asuras are fierce warriors, not demonic, but they can be they are the enemies of the gods in the heavens, Asuras. They eat purified food to sustain the health of their bodies, and they wash, bathe, and wear clean clothing for physical comfort. What kind of food? Later we'll look at what kind of food the gods eat. And then the gods in the 6 desire heavens also eat purified food, same kind of food, to sustain the health of their bodies, and they also wash, bathe, and wear clean clothing. Okay, this part about washing and bathing and wear clean clothing, it kind of depends. Not every, some narratives will say that as when they wish for clean clothing, when they wish for new clothes, the clothes magically appear on them. And the washing and bathing is only when you are first born in the heavens, or maybe not. For anyone who's really, really interested, you can develop your samadhi skill and go to the heavens to find out, or you can get reborn in the heavens and find out for yourself. Okay, so it says gods other than those already mentioned subsist in a state of concentration with happiness and delight as their principal food. What gods are these? These are the heavens above the 6 desire heavens. So we haven't come to that yet. But if you are at that level, because you don't have physical bodies, which means that if you are a god in the 6 desire heavens, you still have a physical body, which is why you still need physical food. But the heavens above that, you don't have physical bodies. So your sustenance is more for the mind, because you don't have a body to sustain. Okay, let me move on. Okay, who are the sentient beings that can subsist on the food created by physical contact? These beings are those born from eggs. Who are the sentient beings that can subsist on conscious recollection? Some beings can sustain their existence through conscious recollection. So that's how the Buddha answered the question, and the Buddha did not provide additional context. So I'm sorry, I'm just as clueless as some of you might be. I know Shufu mentioned a bit in his commentary from other sutras, but I don't have it for today. And then, who are the sentient beings that can subsist on thoughts created by consciousness? Beings who suffer in the hells and gods who abide in the formless realm. Okay, so either you're very low in the hells or you're very high up in the heavens above the desire heavens, that you sustain yourself through nourishment of thoughts, that you create yourself through your consciousness. Okay, all right. Now, after eating food, you sustain your body. So let's look at lifespan. So, starting with hungry ghosts, you have a 10,000 year lifespan, but it's unfixed. Okay, it's not for sure everyone will have. Every hungry ghost has that amount of life. And then you have dragons or nagas and garudas, up to 1 eon, also unfixed. Some have shorter lifespans. And then asuras have 1,000 years, 1,000 eon years, which is also unfixed. And then humans, okay, this is where we come to earlier we were saying, okay, humans or Jambudvipa can be anywhere from 10 to 80,000 years, and it's unfixed. Why is it from 10 to 80,000 years? There's a cycle of existence, that of worlds coming into being and worlds being destroyed. And within that cycle, human beings will have a lifespan ranging from 84,000, it's not just 80,000 years, it's 84,000 years, which is the peak of human, I guess, human virtue. When we have lifespans of 84,000 years, our lifestyle is more like the heavens than humans that we know of today. We can fly. I think we also have heavenly mansions. Unwholesome deeds like lying, killing do not exist, because you are human beings at that time are just naturally unable to commit those kind of things. You know, how to understand that? Well, say someone hands you a very cute puppy and tells you, okay, now I want you to break that puppy's leg. Okay, I want you to break the puppy's leg, and I will give you, say, $1 million. I don't think anyone, okay, I hope no one is able to do that. You are just naturally unable to commit such an act, even for money, you know. So human beings at 84,000 years, they're full of virtue, and they just can't do things like lie. Actually, there's a Jataka story, which was told by the Buddha, how during one of those periods when human beings have a lifespan of 84,000 years, someone had this bright idea of wanting to lie, and he said, I'm going to lie. And nobody knew what he was talking about. I said, what do you mean you're going to lie? He said, what? And then he said, I'm going to tell something which is not true. And the moment he lied, he fell to the ground. He couldn't fly anymore, just like he couldn't fly like everyone else could. And then the people around him advised him, okay, don't lie. It's not good that you lie. But he insisted. He was very stubborn. He lied more and more until he sank into the ground. Yeah. So this is one of the Jataka stories, which I just thought of it, so I don't have the full story. But if anyone who's interested, I can try to find the story. Then what happens is, Shufu says every 100 years, the average lifespan decreases by 1 year. I might have it wrong. It might be 1,000 years, but if I'm not wrong, it's every 100 years. So every 100 years, the average lifespan decreases from 84,000 years by 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, until you get to the worst of humanity, which is 10 years. And at that time, we are more like animals rather than humans. So right now, where we are with an average lifespan of maybe 80 years for humans, we are on the way down. So every 100 years, our lifespan is decreasing. And then once we get to 10, which is the worst any human can behave, then the lifespan increases by 1 year every 100 years up to 84,000 years, and then the cycle repeats itself. Okay, so that's why the lifespan in Jambudvipa for people like us right now ranges from 10 to 80,000 years. Then in Purva Videha, which is the eastern continent, average lifespan 250 years. It's unfixed. Some die younger, some might die older. And then Godaniya, which is the western continent, is 500 years, also unfixed. So the only ones who know they're going to, celebrate their 1,000-year birthday are people from Uttarakuru, which is in the northern continent. Okay, then moving up. Oh, I just realized I don't have the hell beings. Okay, let me see. Hell beings. Maybe I will share this. Okay, let me share this. It might be a bit hard to see. Let me see if I can increase the size. Maybe one more. Okay. Can you all see that? Okay. So what you see on your screen is the various hells, the major hells. There are a lot more hells than this, but these are the major hells. And right next to the names of the hells are the lifespans of the average lifespans of the hell beings there. So it's not fixed, it's not like a linear thing, but there are certain ranges. So it ranges from 500 hell years, and 500 hell years are actually a very long time because when you're suffering, time slows down. So 500 hell years, it ranges to 16,000 hell years for a certain range of hells. And then in other hells, let me see, it can go up to 1 great kalpa, which is really, really long. 1 great kalpa, let me see, is, okay. Basically, in this range of hells, okay, I'm going to highlight on my screen. Okay, in this range of hells, it says X. You see X hell years. The metaphor that the Buddha explains for the number X represents a number. He says X is you have 4,000 kilograms of sesame seeds. You know, sesame seeds, they're really small. They get stuck in between your teeth. They're really small sesame seeds. Buddha says you have 4,000 kilograms of sesame seeds. That's a lot of sesame seeds. And then he says you remove 1 seed every 100 years. And when you finish removing the last seed, that makes 1x. That's how long 1x of hell years are. So if you look at the highlighted, the bursting blister hell, which is cold, the hell of chattering teeth, the hells that are cold, they say when hell freezes over, well, in these hells, you're constantly freezing. The average lifespan is 20,000 times of removing 1 sesame seed every 100 years from 4,000 kilograms of sesame seeds. So basically, it's just beyond human comprehension. Our mind is unable to comprehend that amount of time. All right. Okay. So that's the lifespan in the house, which is why you don't ever want to find out. Okay, now let's move to lifespan in the heavens. Okay, so the nearest heaven to us, the lowest heaven, is the heaven of the four kings. To them, it's 500 years, but in equivalent human time, it is 9 million years. And then in the heaven of the 33, okay, the Triumphimsha heaven, their lifespan is double, so they have 1,000 years. But although it is double of the heaven below them, the four kings, it is quadruple our time. So from 9 million years, it jumps up to 36 million years. So in other words, you know, in one of the commentaries, someone asked one of the monks, he said, you know, why haven't people who get reborn in the heavenly realm come back to tell us that they've been born in the heavenly realm, you know, to show us proof that there is rebirth in the heavenly realm? So the answer was, well, you know, and I'm ad-libbing, okay, that is like you're born in the heaven, okay, you are having such a wonderful time. It's like you want to check into a hotel, you arrive at the hotel, you check in, you check out your room, you know, maybe you take a shower, and by the time you remember to call your parents or call your children or call your friends that you arrived, they already died because a few hundred years might have passed by on earth. So that's kind of like the analogy. All right. Then the Suyama heaven, every heaven it goes up, it doubles in years, but in human years, it's multiplied exponentially. Then you go up to the highest heaven in the desire realm, which is the pleasure derived from others' blessings, or the Paranimitavasa Vatin heaven, 16,000 heavenly years. But in human years, it is 9.2 billion years. Did I get it right? 9.2, yeah. 9,216,000,000 years. And just to show, okay, and then in the table, you see, I've also included the first dhyana heaven. The reason I included that is because that's the heaven above, and the lifespan there jumps up drastically. It is 320 billion years, and the reason for that is that access to the heaven is very special. These 6 desire heavens, you access or you get reborn in those heavens through good deeds. So you do good deeds, you get reborn in those heavens, all right? But the dhyana heaven is only available to you if you can meditate, and you can meditate until you abide in the first dhyana consistently. Then you get your ticket to be born there. Okay, I see Saha has a question. Yes, Saha, what is your question about Uttara Kuru?
Dharma Master, the beings in the Uttara Kuru, after they die, do they actually get reborn into the same realm, or it's based on their karma?
Oh, definitely based on their karma and their intentions. There are sutras where the Buddha says that if you set yourself with an intention and everything that you do is geared towards the intention, then the chances of you being reborn according to your intentions is very high indeed. So yeah, being reborn is definitely due to come, and we'll come to that. I actually have a slide for that for today. So I have a chart which I made a long time ago just to show you the difference between 320 billion years, which is the tall orange column on your right, compared to the highest of the desire realm heaven, which is only, comparatively, relatively, only 9 billion years. Yeah. In this chart, even the lifespan of the 4 heavenly kings, if you are God in the 4 heavenly king heaven, which is 9 million human years, you don't even see a line because it's just nothing compared to the rest of the heavens. Yeah. Not to speak about humans, 80 years. Yeah. 80 years is just in a blink of the eye. Yeah. Okay, now we come to height. Maybe I'll just quickly run through this. Just, it's very academic. the only thing to note is Uttarakuru people are really tall. They're twice the height of us. And then the different heavens, the height doubles as they go up, just like their lifespans. And I have a very interesting story. I think I told this before, I'm not sure. I used to have a friend, more like an acquaintance. She was Malaysian, a Malay family, and she was in the travel industry. And there's an island off the coast of Malacca in Malaysia called Pulau Besar. And there's a legend that the island is protected by a local deity or a god. And that if you want to visit the island, you have to refrain from eating pork because the deity is kind of like a Muslim. That's what the locals say. So a new hotel opened up on the island, and this lady was given a complimentary room, and she went with her family, her mother, her daughters. And she said that at night they couldn't sleep. So they decided to take a walk on the beach. And as they were taking a walk by the beach, on the beach, they saw this huge, very tall white figure wearing white clothes. It was so tall that the head disappeared into the sky, into the clouds. They couldn't see the head at all. They could only see like the feet and the body that was floating across the sea towards the island. And she did what any self-respecting person would do. She and her whole family screamed, ran back into the room, and they couldn't sleep the whole night because they were totally freaked out. So when I think about the heights of gods, I'm not sure if it was a god or not, or it was like a guardian spirit, which I have a slide too as well. The Buddha talks about spirits. And yeah, so they're really different from human beings. Okay, now let's talk about livelihood. People of Jambudvipa, which is us, make our living by trading in gold, silver, precious stones, cloth, grain, and slaves. Okay, this was another time, I guess. But in other words, it just means that we work for currency, and that's how we earn our living. It's all through for the end result of currency. And then people in Apara Godia make their living by bartering cattle, sheep, jewels, and precious stones. They have a marketplace. And then the people of Purva Videha also barter things, but they barter pearls, cloth, and grain. And then Uttarakuru people are very lucky. They don't have to trade. They don't have to work for a living. Remember, their grain, their rice that they eat, their non-glutinous rice is harvested naturally. It means you don't have to, even the rice you eat, you don't have to work for it. So that's the blessings that they have, Uttarakuru. Yeah. So they make their living by themselves, meaning they don't have to work for a living. But for anyone who thinks that might be a good place to seek rebirth, apparently the Dharma does not exist on Uttarakuru. I think because the people there have no, they do not suffer afflictions like we do. And I don't know if it's because of that they have no need for the Dharma. But if you are born on Uttarakuru, you will not be able to meet the Buddha's Dharma, apparently. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now let's go on to marriage. Okay. So to get it out of the way first, Uttarakuru people, they don't get married. Okay. And in our previous classes, we covered how they give birth to children. I don't remember how, but kind of like by the roadside. And then the child can suckle milk from thumbs and they don't need parents. Something like that. It's very strange. Okay, but other humans of the 3 continents, we use negotiation to marry daughters to their husbands and to receive brides as wives for their sons, or at least at one time in our cultures. And then for moving on to the Nagas, the dragons, the Garudas, and the Asuras, it says males and females also follow the custom of marriage. The same custom is also observed among the 4 guardian gods of heaven, or the 4 heavenly kings, the Trimshel gods, and so on, up to the Paranimi. Okay, so basically everyone else observes marriage, Then it says, there is no such custom, however, among higher gods than those already mentioned. This is above the desire realm because there is no gender difference in those of higher divinity. All right, okay. Still on the subject of desire, okay, let me see. Okay, so when it comes to consummating their marriage, the Jambuvipa, Aparagodania, that's a mouthful, and Purva Videha and Uttarakuru. Okay, although people in Uttarakuru don't marry, they still have physical desire, and they achieve that through physical contact, which they fuse, according to the Buddha, positive and negative elements. Okay. Dragons, Garudas, Asuras, the four garden gods, and the Trimsha gods also follow this method. Okay, it's through embrace. Shufu says in the Earth Store Sutra, is through embrace. Tushita gods have an easier time. They just smile at each other. And then the Nirmanarati gods, they just stare at each other. Okay. And then the heaven number 6, which is above them, they just have to look at each other. You don't even have to stare. Just look at, because their desire is so low that just by looking at one another, they already feel satisfied. Yeah. So the holding hands, I think Shufu says it's just like how you greet each other by shaking hands, something like that, or you just hold hands. Yeah. Okay. And I think this is from Shufu. He said, how long is a stare? He said long, maybe 1 minute to 5 minutes. Yeah. So you just stare at each other for maybe like a minute, and that's enough to satisfy them. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. So Shufu, in his commentary on the Earth Store Sutra, Shufu says, how come we people have to eliminate desire and cut off love as we cultivate or practice? Why is it so important to be free of thoughts of desire? Shufu says it is because the more thoughts of desire we have, the more delusions we have. The fewer thoughts of desire, the more wisdom we develop. Shufu says thoughts of desire belong to the evil world of the 5 turbidities. And what are the turbidities? It says thoughts of desire are the most turbid and unclean. The higher the heaven, the lighter the desire is. These heavens are known as the 6 desire heavens, and the inhabitants have physical form and are not free of lust and impure thoughts. Yeah. So if anyone is interested in what the 5 turbidities are, there's a Kalpa turbidity, which is, okay, there's a Kalpa turbidity, the view turbidity, the afflictions turbidity, the living beings turbidity, and the life turbidity. Okay. Turbidity means everything is mixed up. It's no longer pure. Shufu says it's like if you take earth and you mix it with water and it becomes like mud, everything's together. The water is not clean anymore. The earth is not earth anymore. It becomes something else. That's the meaning of being turbid. So for example, the Kalpa turbidity, Shufu says this is an impure time and age. And time itself is not pure. Okay, time itself actually does not exist. If you've ever meditated until your mad mind stops, your mind of the 6 consciousness, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. If you ever had your mind stop, you realize that time is just a fabrication of the mind. It does not exist outside of the mind. Wait, let me reclassify that. Our perception of time. Yeah, our perception of time. Like for example, to be more accurate, our understanding of time, like how long is a minute, how long is an hour, that ceases to exist. Yeah, there is still a past, present, and future. Okay, don't get me wrong thinking there's no before, present, and after. There is, but the perception of time disappears. So in that state, when you are, say, you're just sitting and a certain time passes, someone comes and says, oh, you've been sitting there for just 5 minutes, you will just say, okay. And then if someone says that, oh, you've been sitting there for 5 hours, for you, sitting there for 5 minutes or 5 hours, it feels the same because the mind does not discriminate anymore. That's what I mean when the perception of time disappears. Yeah, that's also used to describe Venerable Mahakashyapa, who ever since the Buddha passed away, Venerable Mahakashyapa is holding on to the Buddha's robe and the Buddha's bowl, and he is right now meditating in Chicken Foot Mountain, somewhere in China. There's an actual location. Shufu says that if you go there, sometimes if you quiet yourself, you might be able to hear the ringing of a bell coming from inside the mountain, which is where Mahakashyapa is sitting in meditation. So he has achieved that state, and he can wait for, I don't have the exact time, but the next time the next Buddha is coming, Maitreya Buddha is coming, who is right now Maitreya Bodhisattva, is going to take a few billion years, I think. And he's just sitting there, and it's the time passes for him not in the way as we know of. So that's the kalpa turbidity. I won't go through the other turbidities, but that's just to explain the meaning of the word turbidity. So Shufu says that time itself is turbid, and it arises dependent upon the other 4 turbidities, which increase for us. In our experience, it increases daily, it grows bigger, it grows more extreme. And let me see. Yeah, so that's what Shufu has to say. There's a lot more to talk about the 5 turbidities, but it defines the time that we are living in right now for both our personal existence as well as the state of the world that we're in. Okay. All right. So now let's move on to something slightly more interesting. Okay. Which is birth and death in the desire realm. It's interesting, not right now, but the next few slides will be more interesting. Okay. So in this sutra, okay, which is, I forgot to put the source of the sutra. This is the Sutra on Buddhist cosmology. The Buddha says that when sentient beings have committed evil through thought, speech, or action, okay, thought, speech, and action, body, speech, and mind, these are the 3 ways that we can create karma, right? So when we do evil, okay, we create future conditions or future karmic conditions or the possibilities of a consciousness that will be reborn in with a lower rebirth. What does lower rebirth mean? The animal realm, the hungry ghost realm, or the hell realms. Then the Buddha says, but if you accomplish wholesome acts through your body, speech, and mind, then what happens is you're creating future conditions for your consciousness to be born in either the human realm or the 6 desire heavens. How does this happen? Okay. The Buddha says when you near death, as awareness perishes, this awareness is linked to our mind consciousness, which makes up 4 of our 5 skandhas. So it's only temporary, okay? And our physical life ebbs away, our body wastes away. The Buddha says the consciousness arises as name and form. In Sanskrit, it's called nama rupa, which is literally means the same thing in the Malay language, name and form. And then this leads to the 6 senses of our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. In other words, our new body. Okay, so what arises before the body arises is the consciousness which perceives name and form. Okay, I have something to show you really quickly, because this passage that we have just read, in essence, describes the 12 conditioned links. Okay, not in its whole, but it just it does. And maybe it's too small for the screen. Okay, let me give me a moment. Let me get the actual slide, and I can quickly show you. Okay, where is the slide? Okay. Okay, this is a graphical representation of the 12 condition links. Okay, let me increase the size. What are 12 condition links? The 12 condition links is a mechanism that explains what goes on as every thought arises in our mind and disappears. But the same mechanism can also be used to explain our life from how we are born and how we die and how that affects our next rebirth. So it starts with ignorance and then mental formations, and then number 3, consciousness, name and form, 6 senses, contact, feeling. Okay, you can read the rest for yourself on the screen. Those makes up the 12 condition links. If we apply it to what we just read, which is being dying and being reborn, how we can use the 12 condition links to interpret what goes on is, because we are ignorant, we don't know what's going on. We don't know how we came to inhabit this body. We don't understand cause and effect. There's so many things we don't understand. So out of ignorance, and we create mental formations. Mental formations, another way to understand that is our intentions. Okay, we do things with intention. In other words, we create karma. So number 1 and number 2 is in our past. All right, it is what we have done to deserve what we have right now. All of you sitting here right now, what you have done in your past lives, okay, which is classified as ignorance and mental formations, all the intentional deeds of body, speech, and mind that you have done is responsible for who you are right now. Okay, which is represented by our present fruit, the consciousness that we have. Okay, our the name and form. Okay, this sentence will seem familiar because I just read it. It says, in turn, this consciousness gives rise to a basic mental and physical makeup, which in turn conditions number 5, the 6 senses. And then because we have 6 senses, we can't help but interact with the world, which is contact. And then we have feelings. We like this, we don't like that. You know, we want more of this, we don't want more of that kind of thing. Our present, okay, everything that we're experiencing right now is number 3 to 7. And then as a result of that, we are planting causes for our future through our craving. You know, we want this, we don't want that, we want more of this. Craving and our desire of clinging and grasping, which if you observe your existence right now, we are shaped. Who we are right now is shaped by our likes and dislikes. The clothes we buy, I like this color, I like that design. You know, the way you cut your hair and style your hair, the makeup that you wear or you don't wear, the perfume or the cologne that you buy, everything is that makes you right now, the handbags, the shoes, everything that you have, okay, that's due to our craving and our clinging and grasping. And all that does, okay, is to lead you to a future birth, which means a death as well, which is number 11 and 12. So that's the 12 condition links. All right, so we don't have to go in detail, but now you kind of know what the 12 condition links mean. It took me a long time to figure this out, the 12 condition links, because I understood the words, but I never understood the impact it had on me. So that's the 12 condition links. All right. Okay. Any questions so far? I know there's a lot, but it's just treat it as something to know. You don't really have to understand, but if you want to, you know now what to look for. Okay. Okay, now let's look at something very interesting, which I promised you earlier, which is what it's like to be born in the heavens. So we start with the heaven of the 4 kings because it's more or less the same for the rest of the heavens. So the Buddha says, when you enter this heaven, when you're born in the heaven, okay, you are born like a young child of 5 years. So certain places, they say you're even younger, like 1 to 2 years, but Shufu says 5 years. So that's more believable because 5 years, because 1 to 2 years, you're still like a little baby and you can't really do things for yourself. Whereas 5 years old, you can feed yourself, you can walk around, you can run, right? 5 years old can run, right? Yeah, definitely. 5 years old, you can run. Yeah. And you can talk and you know what you want. So I tend to gravitate towards Shufu's explanation of 5 years. And so what happens is you're born fully formed as a 5-year-old kid, and then the child having been reborn through natural transformation. You're not born through the womb. Is kind of like how you wake up from a dream. I'm not saying it's exactly like that, but it helps you understand, from one existence in like a human body right now. So you're sleeping, you're dreaming, thinking it's real, and then suddenly something wakes you up. You open your eyes and you're back in this body, kind of like that. Now if you're destined for a heavenly rebirth, you die, you open your eyes and you find that, oh, you're in heaven already and you're a 5-year-old child. What happens next when you find out that you're a 5-year-old child if you're born in this heaven? Well, you find yourself on the lap of your guardian God, your surrogate father or your mother. And then the God will say, this is my child. Okay, so instantly you have an instant parent. It says, but the child already possesses the wisdom of his past conduct and thinks, by what good conduct have I been born in this heavenly world? So not bad. You are born in a heaven and you know exactly who you used to be, but you're figuring out, oh, what did I do to come here? All right. So you start thinking about what you used to do before. Then again, the child thinks, once when I was human and accomplished some good through acts of body, speech, and mind, I accrued some merit, which has enabled me to be reborn in this celestial life. So maybe, you're listening to the sutra, to lectures on the Sutra of the Medicine Master Buddha, and you realize that, gratitude is good to practice. Generosity is good, and then you learn the difference between blessings and merit, and you try to generate more merit than blessings, something like that. So what happens then is this child starts to think, because although you have the body of a child, but your maturity is like that of an adult. It says, if my life should end here and I'm reborn again among humans, I must work to purify the nature of my acts of body, speech, and mind. In other words, your karma. You must do good karma and try still harder to accomplish some good. So immediately you realize, because of the good things that you have done, you're born in a fortunate place. And you kind of make a vow to yourself. You say, if I die, I will definitely continue making wholesome deeds. So not long after you're born, the child feels hunger. And because you're in the heavens, immediately a vessel filled with pure food containing 100 heavenly tastes appears. If the child's merit is superior, okay, if you got very good karma, the meal will consist of white rice. If the child's merit is average, the meal will consist of blue rice. And if his or her merit is little, the meal will consist of red rice. Okay, that's very interesting. The food that you get also depends on the karma, the wholesome deeds that you have planted, your blessings. Okay. The food is eaten by hand, and once swallowed by the child, it is immediately digested like butter thrown into a fire. So you don't get, a full stomach or anything like that. Your body just absorbs it. It's so pure. And then when the meal is finished, the child feels thirst. And then a vessel filled with nectar appears. If the child's merit is superior, the juice will be white. If the child's merit is average, it will be blue. And if his or her merit is little, it will be red. Okay, just like the rice, color of the rice. Again, if you drink this, it gets immediately digested. Okay. And by the time you finish your drink, you would have already grown into an adult god. You will be as tall from a 5-year-old child. You have been, just now we saw like half your jhana tall. That's very tall. And what happens next is you would then go to a bathing pond to enjoy washing and bathing. At this moment, it doesn't say that you are naked, but it kind of implies that, because one of the next things that you do is you wear your clothes. So I guess right now you're a naked god. You emerge from the pond after you bathe, and then you go to a tree that is very nice smelling. It has many fragrances. The tree will bend down, and you take some of the fragrance in your hand and you rub it onto your own body, so you perfume yourself. Then you see a tree filled with cotton garments, just like a clothes hanger, but it's a tree. Okay, so this tree clothes hanger bends down, you pick what you want and you wear it. And then the next thing you see is a tree filled with many kinds of ornaments. In other words, I don't know, like for us, it would be like watches, earrings, necklaces, I guess. So you take whatever you want, you adorn yourself, and then you see a tree filled with garlands, probably flower garlands. And then you, wait, let me see, you put it on your head. Oh, maybe it's not a garland you wear around your neck. So maybe it's more like a crown. Yeah, you crown yourself. Okay. Then, so now you're no longer naked, and you see a tree filled with many kinds of vessels. And then the tree again offers the vessels to you. It bends down. And you take one, and then you carry your vessel, or like a basket, a container, and you go to a tree with fruits, and then you fill it with fruits for you to eat later. And then you see a tree filled with musical instruments, and then you choose one musical instrument, and you're able to sing in a clear and fine voice. And then you enter a pleasure grove, like the heavens are filled with pleasure groves, places where it's very, very nice, like beautiful gardens, apparently. And then you will find heavenly maidens who are cheerfully strumming their instruments and playing their drums, tapping their drums. And then it says, on this sort of excursion, the god gives himself over to such entertainments. So it's just overwhelmed by everything that you see, okay? How overwhelmed are you? Okay, the Buddha says, when he looks east, he forgets the west. When you look at the west, you forget the east. So imagine, it's just like a child where the attention span is very short. But it's not so much that the god has a short attention span. It's just that sights and sounds are so overwhelming that it just overwhelms you. It just attracts, I wouldn't say, it takes all your attention. You just focus all your attention on this new wonderful sight and sound that you have never experienced before. And immediately you have no more space for what you just seen and saw, so you just forget about it. So the Buddha says, although he once wondered by what actions have I been born into this celestial life, by now he has totally forgotten this train of thought while engaged in the pleasures at hand, and is now surrounded by palace ladies and retainers. So that's the life of being born in the heavens. So it's kind of like a dream. In a dream, you move from one situation to the next, or you wake up from a dream and immediately you forget what you just dreamt, your reality for a while, and suddenly it's just gone totally from your memory, something like that. So then the difference being born from the first heaven up to the sixth heaven is the age that you're born in. So in the first heaven, you're 5 years old, and then the second higher heaven, you're slightly older, 7 years old, then 10 years old. And then Shufu doesn't mention the other remaining 3 heavens, but I would say based on other sutras, you just add maybe 2 to 3 years. So when you get to the highest heaven, you're kind of like maybe like a 10-year-old child. Yeah, something like that. Anyone have any questions right now? I just realized it's close to time being over. So what we'll do next week is, let me see, I show this slide, talk about spirits, and the Buddha explains how you have spirits everywhere and everyone has a guardian spirit. So maybe we'll cover that for next week. Yeah. Any questions, anyone? While waiting, if there are any questions, I'll just quickly answer Saha's question. So Saha, maybe my late 20s, because thanks to my mom, I had always had Shufu's books in the house. And maybe my late 20s, I started getting the idea that it would be good to repay the kindness of my parents, and that the only existence that makes sense was one that to pursue the end of birth and death, which is to leave home. And so yeah, so I always thought that maybe, you know, one day when I'm like 50 years old, 60 years old, I will become a monk. And why? Because life was good. I was having a very good life. So no reason to, you know, you're not really suffering. There's no reason to not enjoy life. Yeah. So until in the space of 1 year, when I just felt like my life was meaningless, living a normal life didn't bring me any happiness at all, and I just felt this urgency to leave home. And the main reason, like I said, was the same: to repay the kindness of my parents, as well as to, as what Shufu said, like Shufu, yeah, what Shufu said, like it was the most worthwhile thing that you can do, or maybe I interpreted it in that way. Yeah. All right. Okay. So let us transfer merit. So I'm very glad all of you could join us today. And thank you for your patience for the long break. I just managed to confirm, or rather the educational institution that I'm enrolled in for my master's in Buddhist studies, managed to confirm the schedule. So from, I think, not next week, but a few weeks from now, I would actually have a class from 7 in the evening to 9:30. And then we will, on a Sunday. And then 15 minutes later, we'll start our lecture on the Medicine Master Buddha Sutra. So I just had to get that confirmed. Yeah. Okay, let me add this slideshow. Okay, dedication of merit. I'm going to invite everyone to join me in putting our palms together. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Let's do 3 bows to the Buddha and then 3 bows to Shufu. I don't have my bell with me, my hand bell with me right now, so I'll just so we just start an account. Okay, 3 bows to the Buddha. First bow, second bow, third bow, half bow. Bowing respect to the Rebel Master. First bow, second bow, third bow, half bow. All right, I'm for everyone, and we'll see you next week.